My video essay series, Journey Through Twin Peaks, is currently scheduled to conclude in the summer of 2023, not 2022 as originally planned. It's going to conclude with part 6, 11 chapters that'll be published weekly. They may appear earlier than that summer, but they're unlikely to appear later. If I have to abandon other projects to get there on time, I will. However, part of the reason for even this delay is so that I don't have to abandon other projects. I want to finally conclude work that I began, in some cases, 6 years ago, particularly my Lost in Twin Peaks podcast and my written Twin Peaks character series. This video announcement will describe and, more importantly, visually demonstrate in calendar form what the next year and a half, April 2022 to October 2023, should look like in terms of what I'm publishing. If you want to know and keep track of my behind-the-scenes process, which differs from the order that this work is going to be shared, please check out my constantly updated post on my website, Plan for Journey Through Twin Peaks, or the accompanying Twitter threads. Both are linked below in the description for this video. First of all, every month from now through at least the middle of next year, I'll be publishing one episode per month for 4 different podcasts. My public Lost in the Movies and Twin Peaks Cinema feeds, my Patreon bonus, and my Twin Peaks conversations split over YouTube and Patreon. That may sound like a lot, but the public podcast consists of material that I've already recorded for patrons, so this is less work than it seems. Secondly, I hope to briefly resume, pause, and eventually resume again my Written Unseen series, in which I dive into a popular movie from every single year that I've never viewed before. I'll cover only a handful of these in May 2022, 3 to be exact, starting with The Avengers on its 10th anniversary. And yes, I've never seen The Avengers before putting the series on hold again for another year and probably resuming with the year 2009 in May 2023. At that point, the series would continue until at least October 2023, with 1984's selection, Paris, Texas. Third, May 7th, 2022, I will definitely be launching 2 weeks of Lost in Twin Peaks podcast coverage of Fire Walk with Me for the 30th anniversary of that film's Cannes premiere. This is over 13 hours of material that I've already recorded and released to my patrons, now to be made public. This will be followed immediately, on May 21st, 2022, by Season 3 podcasts, a week per TV episode timed to the 5th anniversaries of each one. Only after hitting these anniversaries, through the finales in September 2022, will I rewind to release my Lost in Twin Peaks coverage of Season 2. Depending how my backlog of work goes, I'm hoping to publish these between September 24th, 2022 and exactly 6 months later, February 24th, 2023, which happens to be Twin Peaks Day. While the underlying material for these podcasts has been completed for a while, the representation includes fine-tuning, dividing into separate smaller episodes, and creating an illustrated companion each week with screenshots, historical images, and collages that illustrate concepts like character rankings. All of this is incredibly time-consuming, much more so than I initially expected before I published Season 1 in that format last fall. It completely derailed my initial schedule for Part 6 and other projects. It actually canceled some projects altogether, which is ultimately why I'm creating this new announcement. So, with all that in mind, Lost in Twin Peaks is my first priority for now. Fourth, and here is where things get a bit more ambitious and may need to be pushed back, I'm hoping to resume the Twin Peaks character series at the same time that I'm releasing the Season 3 podcasts in May 2022. The Twin Peaks character series was a project I began preparing way back in 2016, and I actually published an earlier form of it in the spring of 2017, written and highly structured entries on each major Twin Peaks character, ranked in order of ascending screen time. Back then, however, I was of course limited to the characters from the original series, and I also ran out of time before the return aired, so I had to stop at the top 20. This rebooted character series would go all the way to the finish, but it would also link to old entries where applicable, update them where necessary, and create entirely new entries for the many new characters. If I can stay on that track behind the scenes, I'd begin publishing the character prologues, which introduce the series and cover more minor characters and roundups, on May 23rd, 2022. I'd be running entries on Mondays, Wednesdays, and/or Fridays until reaching the top 20 in November, at which point the lengthier entries would run once a week, every Wednesday, concluding in late March, with a bit of bonus material officially wrapping the series on March 28th, 2023, which, again, with all these anniversaries, that's actually the in-world anniversary of when the doppelganger laughingly asks, "How's Annie?" at the end of Season 2. This is definitely the most challenging part of all my plans. This character series is going to require the most additional work in addition to what I've already done. I don't necessarily want to start it unless I know that I'm on schedule. So I may have to push the start and end dates back several months if it looks like that's the case. I may also have to pause the series at some point if I do start it and I get out over my skis. Ultimately, though, this character series work will be on track to be done by the middle of 2023, or else I'm just going to have to give up on it once and for all, because a half decade of delay is way too much time. This needs to be delivered on or abandoned at this point. So hopefully it'll be the former. Now, fifth, I may create a video or two at the end of the year tied in with my generational project, the post I put up on my site a few years ago, looking at different eras and the generations and what ages they were then. I have some ideas about that, but we'll see. That's a luxury if other things are done at that point. That would be year end around December. If the podcasts and the character entries are all done by the spring of 2023, I'll spend April 2023 publishing reviews that update and catch up on work I've covered in the past. So these would be written film reviews of 2 more Olympic documentaries on Tokyo 2021 and Beijing 2022, just following up on the Olympic series I just did this spring. There'd be another entry in the Up series, the 7 Up through 63 Up. I covered all of those for my favorite series when I talked about those documentaries as some of my favorite films of all time, but the new one, 63 Up, was released a few years ago and I haven't seen it yet. And also, of course, the Neon Genesis Evangelion Rebuild film, the 4th and final one, which I still haven't seen yet. I did so much work on Evangelion in like the mid-teens that I should definitely follow up with that. So basically a year from now, with these other Twin Peaks projects hopefully out of the way, I'll be able to kind of put some punctuation points on those works as well. In May 2023, around the time that I'd be planning to resume my Unseen series, I hope to finally publish my Mirrors of Kane videos on Citizen Kane. This is another project that I began 6 years ago and it's been on ice for way too long. I thought it out once about a year ago so I could release a chapter in time for the film's 80th anniversary, but otherwise the Citizen Kane videos have just kept getting pushed back for other projects. The remaining videos would run weekly from May 21st to June 18th, 2023, creating a bit of a runway for Journey Through Twin Peaks to resume. Both the video essays would be released on Sundays on YouTube. And then when the Kane ones are done, finally on June 25th, 2023, the 6th anniversary of the infamous Part 8, I'd debut the first new video essay for Journey Through Twin Peaks, and it would carry on throughout the summer, 1 video a week, concluding on September 3rd, 2023, which is by then the 6th anniversary of the Season 3 finale. I do plan to mark the 15th anniversary of my website, the summer that I first watched Twin Peaks, coincidentally, back in 2008, on July 16th, 2023. Probably with some new and expanded directories, new and exciting ways to browse and explore my work, but we'll see what that entails. I do have some thoughts about where and how my online work on Twin Peaks and otherwise would or wouldn't continue in the fall of 2023, but after so long spent on these various projects, in some cases the better part of a decade, I'll certainly be looking in some new directions, no matter what. I hope you'll all join me for this journey, no matter how it goes, and I may have to skip some pit stops and reconfigure some routes along the way, as I have many times in the past, but we'll reach this destination one way or another. Thanks for keeping me company.